Okay, Unit 16 is pronoun-antecedent agreement. So a pronoun needs to agree in number and it needs to also agree in gender. So with its antecedent. So the antecedent is the word that the pronoun has replaced, okay? Now, these are like some big words, but as soon as I start talking about this, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Okay, so the first rule is you have to figure out if the sentence is talking about each person individually or about more than one person. So that's in number, okay? So that's agreeing in number. And then you have to use the appropriate pronoun. Now, for singular personal pronouns, you would use he, she, it, his, her, its. You have to use the he or she or his or her if it's a singular noun or if the gender is unknown. Actually, some of that's starting to change a little bit, so I'll just go over these particular rules here. And then if you have questions about when to use certain pronouns, given somebody's certain gender, we can talk about that, but I'm just going to go over the current grammatical rules. And then for plural personal pronouns, that would be they, we, there, are. Okay, so let's take a look here. We have a student left his or her bag in Mr. Stark's classroom. So we have a student, that's one. So if this is just one, then we need a singular pronoun. So a student left his or her bag. Okay, so one student gets a singular pronoun. Now when students participate in community service, they learn to be more responsible. They, so it's plural. So we have a plural, then we have a plural pronoun. Okay, so let's take a look at a fill in the blank. An athlete must be in command of blank body. Okay, so we have a singular, an athlete must be in command of his or her body. Okay, let's take a look at an example with a plural. Athletes must be in command of their bodies. So we want a plural there, okay? And even though it sometimes sounds awkward, that does not mean that it is awkward, right? So what I told you last unit, like sometimes if it sounds, you know how it's going to sound, but in this case, I think people do make errors with this. So singular antecedent gets a singular pronoun. All right, so that felt like not too bad, right? Okay, I got that, Miss Calandra. Well, what do you do if you have a singular indefinite pronoun? Because that can cause confusion. Your singular indefinite pronouns are things like each or no one or everybody, things like that. And so we sometimes mistakenly think of those as like a lot of people, but they're not a lot of people. These are going to be singular. So these get singular. That's it. So let's take a look at some examples. The team members have an obligation to give. So team members, that's definitely plural. So we're going to use the plural pronoun, which is there. Everybody has an obligation to give best effort. Okay, that is singular. So we're going to want to use his or her. His or her best effort. Justin and Ben brought blank guitars. Okay, Justin and Ben, definitely plural. Their guitars. Neither Justin nor Ben. Okay, so I know from the last unit that if it says neither or, I'm going to go with the singular. Okay, so the singular is going to be his or her. Oh, I guess just his, right? His guitar. Joe left blank book in Mr. Stark's room. Joe is just one person, so it'll be his. Somebody, okay, that's an indefinite singular, so somebody left his or her book in Mr. Stark's room. All right, now, what do you do if you have a group of people, like in the collective sense, right? So like the class, the team, that kind of thing. Well, if you have the group working together as a unit, you're going to use the pronoun it or its. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. The team did not achieve all of its goals for the season. Okay, so teams collective, its. If you are referring to each member of the team as an individual sense, then you're going to use his or her. So if you had like each member of the committee or each member of the team, then you would do his or her. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples. The committee, okay, that's definitely collective. The committee gave its opinion on the matter. Each member of the committee, that's definitely individual, right? Each member of the committee gave his or her opinion on the matter. Okay, next one. The group said that, okay, the group, that's definitely collective, so we'll use its. Okay, and then the last one, every member of the group. Okay, those are acting as individuals within that group, so then we'll use his or her. Okay, and then let's look at one more rule. For simplicity's sake, it's recommended that you try to consistently use the plural form when you're writing a paper. This makes it much easier to avoid errors in subject-verb agreement. So correct would be when students participate in extracurricular activities, they tend to earn better grades. Okay, this is correct but awkward. When a student participates in an extracurricular activity, he or she tends to earn better grades. So basically what they're saying is, we know that it sounds a little awkward when we do this, right? So instead of doing this and having it just sound awkward, even though it's correct, just make it plural. Okay, that just makes it a little bit easier. All right, and let's do one little practice down here. When a teacher is given more autonomy, their attitude and sense of well-being improve. Okay, when a teacher singular, so this needs to be singular. So it'd be his or her.